Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I have a fun project for you today because I got to quilt with the color of the year. The color of the year is this Cosmos, and I made this fun quilt for you. And I just want to show you how beautiful this is. It's very simple, a very easy pattern, and yet stunning as it comes together. We're calling it Constellation, mainly because this color is called Cosmos. And so it's just fun to put them together. So to make this quilt, you're going to need one roll of 2.5-inch strips, and we have used Cosmos, Kona's color of the year, really a beautiful color. You're going to need some background, 3 3/4 yards. For your border, you're going to need 1.5 yards. We also use the same fabric on the backing, and for your backing, you're going to need 5 1/4 yards or 2 3/4 yards of a 108. Now, obviously, I've made it in these colors, but you can make it in any color you want, even use a different, brighter background. Just let yourself play and have some fun with this, and I'll show you how to make it. So to make this quilt, we're going to need to start with cutting some strips from our background fabric. And so I'm going to open that up here and show you how I do that. And you're going to cut some 2.5-inch strips. And I'm going to lay this on my mat and fold it up here. I like making shorter cuts. Make sure it lines up exactly with the dots. So I'm going to make a 2.5-inch cut right here. Actually, I'm going to clean up this edge right here so it's just perfect. There we go. And then I'm going to scoot this over so I can lay it perfectly, match it up on my mat. That helps me keep it straight. And I'm going to cut some 2.5-inch strips. I'm going to cut 8 2.5-inch strips, but for now I'm just going to cut one to show you. Then I'm going to cut some 4.5-inch strips. You will need 8 of those also. And so there we go. And then you're also going to need some 8.5-inch strips. And we are going to subcut these 8.5-inch ones into squares. And I'm going to come over here 5, 6, 7, 8.5. And you'll also need to cut 8 of those, because we're looking at 32 squares that we're going to get. And so what I do is I leave my fabric folded, and I'm going to come along here, and I'm just going to trim off my selvage like this, and the fold. And then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to come to the 8.5 line, and I'm going to count to make sure I'm in the right place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. Good thing I counted. All right, let me count again just to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. So we need some 8.5-inch squares, and we're going to need some 4.5-inch squares. So let me just trim this off. Oh, line that up straight. There we go. And then we're going to cut some 4.5s. Just like this. We'll set these aside. And then out of your 2.5-inch strips, we're going to sew those to a 2.5-inch Cosmos strip. So we'll take these, we're going to line them up, and we're going to sit down the sewing machine, and we're going to sew 8 sets of these. We're going to sew these together like this. And I like to just kind of sit back a little bit, line up my strip, and then just sail through. When I start noticing that it's not exactly lined up, I'm going to come back and adjust. All right, and then one more time. And a little bit more. All right. Now, the first thing we're going to do, this is the block we're talking about right here. So our 4.5-inch squares that we've cut are here, and we are going to make 4 patches. All right, so we are going to make some 4 patches, and you are going to need 2 for each block that you make. And right now, this is personal preference, but I like to cut mine before I press them, and you can do it either way. So I'm just going to come across here and trim my selvage edge off, and I'm going to cut 2.5-inch segments. I have my strip folded in half right here. So every time I cut 1, I get 2, which is enough for 1 block. So see how that is right there? That's what we're making. So I'm going to cut a few of those. And this just goes really quick and easy. And then I actually like to sew them again before I press them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this like this, make sure that my purple and white are opposite. I'm going to nest these seams right here in the middle. And so I'll start on the top and just sew straight down the side like this. And then, and once you get a bunch of these, you can literally just chain piece them and keep going and going. You need 64 4 patches for your quilt. But you need 2 for each block. So I'm going to do 2 here, and then I'm going to press them open. And I think I'll press from the back just to make sure my seams are going the way I want them to, because I've already started. And then I'll flip it over to the front and make sure that I have no pleats or folds. So I'm going to look at the back on this one. So this seam wants to go this way. I like to let the seams go the way they want. All right. So here's my 2 4 patches. And here are 2 4.5-inch squares. And we're going to make a little block out of this. This is our block right here. And so we're going to make sure, the one thing we want to make sure is that our little colored squares line up in a row like this. So our 4.5-inch background squares are going to go here. And so we're going to sew this together as a 4 patch. So here's this one. And then this one should look different. It should be the patch on top. And then when you open them and put them together like this, all your little squares are going in a row. And so now we're going to sew this 4 patch together. We're making like a 4 patch in a 4 patch, if you will. Alrighty then, we're going to press this open. Make sure these seams are laying down nice how we want them. And now the only thing left to do here is to snowball our corners like this one out here. And for that, we're going to take another strip and we're going to cut 2.5-inch squares. And I'm just going to take one strip here and I'm going to fold it in half and in half again. So now I'm cutting 4 at a time. You only need 2 for each block. And I love this little ruler because I can just lay it right along the edge. All right, so now I'm just going to take this one and put a color patch here and a color patch here. We're going to sew right on the line diagonally, right down the center for this one. And so I'll lay it right here in the corner, snug it right up into my corner, and then I'm going to follow my diagonal seam tape, which is just right here on my sewing machine. And then we'll do one on this side, like this. And then we will trim these off and press them open. And we've sewn exactly right on that line. The imaginary line. So once you get your blocks done, you'll need 32 of these. And now is when our big 8.5-inch squares come in. I'm going to press this just a little bit, but how we're going to lay them out, let's look at the quilt back here. So we've got the color coming right off the border, chaining down, all the way down the quilt like this. And so that means we're going to start with our color in the corner and then add a solid block and lay our blocks the exact same direction. So we're going to go this way, and then we're going to put an 8-inch plain block like this, and this way, and then an 8-inch plain block. And we have across the top here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 down. So it makes a great size quilt, and we're just going to keep doing that. So our next row will start with a solid, and then just again make sure that your blocks keep chaining, and then we'll have another solid and another chain block. Now I thought this was really fun and fascinating. Whoops, this one is wrong. Oh, I almost let that go. All your chains go the same direction, so make sure, whoo, that would have been a big mistake. I would have had the quilt finished and gone, what is wrong with that one corner? So anyway, make sure they're all going the same direction, and your quilt will come out perfect. Now, I thought this was really fun, and since I had a jelly roll to work with, that's what I did. But once I got a hold of some yardage, I want to show you, I did it differently. I did it with the yardage as the background and the white as the pop. And so I want to show you what this looks like, because it's just fun to change it around a little bit, and you guys can do anything you want with your quilts. So I'm just clearing off some space and making some room here. And so what we're going to do here is now our white becomes our chaining. And so we're going to do white, and I'm going to put it up here so you can get a really good look at it. And then our purple is the background. And then our white chains, and then our purple. And then over here, we start with the purple, and we've got the white chain. And we start with the white chain here, and we've got the purple, and the white chain, and then a purple, and the white chain right here. And just like that, this is the exact same quilt, but it looks completely different. And I love how just turning it around or making a different, using a different color completely changes the look of the quilt. So this is a really easy project. I would call it 100% a beginner's project. And I think that as you play with this and have some fun with this, you're really going to enjoy this quilt. So let me take you back to the quilt one more time. Nice big 6.5-inch border back here. This is our backing. The quilt pattern we use is called Sticky Buns, and it's just a really fun circular pattern. And anytime I have anything that's kind of angly, I like to kind of go round with my quilting pattern. I'm not sure why. It makes a quilt that is 68 by 84, so it's a great size quilt, and of course you can make it as big as you want to. So we hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the Constellation quilt using the color of the year, Cosmos, from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you aren't already part of the Missouri Star Quilt Company family, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss a thing. And if you click that bell, it'll notify you every time a new tutorial comes out. See you next Friday.